convention, right? This was like a Democratic reunion, so to say. And however, instead of a reunion, it was definitely a Democrat destruction. We can definitely say that this was a Democratic destruction in the building, right? And I want you guys to check out Democrats protesting other Democrats, basically. And here I demonstrate to you guys, family, the video, right? Check this out. I want to get you guys' perspective and see how you guys look at this. This is crazy.
And back out to live again. Thousands have landed here to Park 78 on the city's west side. It took about an hour or so for them to march to this location following a nearly 2-hour rally that kicked off at Union Park about 1 o'clock this afternoon. You can see it right now. Demonstrators are now tearing fencing down. This is the first that we're seeing. You see it right here live on air. These demonstrators have torn the fencing down. They're now trying to hop over the fence. But on the other side of the fence right now, you do see security that have lined this perimeter. We see a number of Chicago police. We see Secret Service agents. We also see what we believe are out-of-state police. Again, this is the secure perimeter that is right outside of
a disaster. And that's why I call it a Democratic destruction instead of a Democratic convention, a.k.a. Democratic reunion, right? Because you have individuals, protesters, tearing down the fence surrounded around the Democratic convention, where law enforcement had to step in and basically push them back to the park in Chicago. And all of these individuals basically tearing down the gates or walls around this Democratic convention. These individuals had Palestinian flags or Palestine flags to put pressure on the Democratic Party to stop the United States involvement by giving aid to the Israel or the Jews, or the Israelis, which is the Jewish state, right? And the reason these pro-Palestinian individuals are not only just protesting, but they're furious because the aid that is being given, and I will show you guys that document of how much aid have been given. And actually, if we look back to it, aid has been initiated and been given to the Israelis, aka the Jews, back in Obama, when Obama was in office. And Obama had an agreement with the Israelis and what Israel for a whole 10 years. The agreement was for 10 years to give aid. The United States of America is giving aid, and that's basically adding fuel to the fire of the war. Let's continue.
The United Center. The group landed here within the last 20 minutes or so. There are thousands that are part of this demonstration that's taking place today. And everything, for the most part, has remained peaceful. I will tell you, this is the first time that we've seen any type of disorder. You see a gentleman right now climbing on top of one of the concrete beams here. Again, someone has blown down one of the fences, but as we look across the street, police do not seem bothered. They are continuing to monitor the situation as you continue to hear those chants. Now, we did hear within the last 10 minutes that the group was going to head back to Union Park where this protest originated, but there seems to be many folks that are still staying behind. They are chanting "Our streets, no justice, no peace."
So you guys get it, right? And I took a little deep dive because for those who may not understand, I like to add I like to add context and pour value into you guys so you guys understand the whole scenario of the whole situation. As you see, you got pro-Palestinian individuals protesting. Like I said, family, the way they were pressuring the Democrat Party to stop the United States involvement from giving aid to the Israel, right? Because that's adding fuel to the fire. And definitely training Israelis, aka the Jews, to not only operate in warfare and equip with the things they need to go against the Palestinians, to totally erase them, because they initiated a siege in Gaza against the Palestinians. So I took a little bit of a deep dive, and I would like to add more context and how this all came about, because this actually stems back from the 19th, 20th century. And the reason these individuals are protesting is so that war can stop. But instead of calling it war involving Israel versus Palestinians, pro-Palestinian protesters call it genocide in Gaza. And genocide, as well as we all know and resonate with it, as the intent to destroy or erase from a crime, or the intent to destroy from a criminal perspective, put it like that. And the belief of the protesters claiming genocide is because Israel is committing a crime with the intent to erase Palestinians as a group in Gaza, on top of causing serious bodily harm to children and numerous other civilians that are Palestinians, right? And just to add a little bit of a backstory, because like I said, this has started back in the 19th, 20th century. The conflict between Israel and Palestine is a long-standing war surrounded over territory, national identity, and security, revolving around Israelis and Palestinians claims of the same land in the area known as Israel. Israel and the Palestinian territories, which are West Bank, Gaza, the Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem, the militant group that I can't ever get it right. the Hamas, oh yeah, the Hamas, there we go. The militant group, the Hamas, is important in this conflict because they're actually, and me taking the research and doing my due diligence, they're actually a Palestinian group, but they're a Palestinian group, but they're a brotherhood that's involved Muslims, basically. So the conflict traces back to the 19th and 20th century, where Jewish immigrated to Palestine, and then part of the Ottoman Empire increased due to Jewish joining because they migrated, right? And then after World War I, the League of Nations granted Britain to govern Palestine, let alone govern not just the Palestinians, but also the Israelis. So the tensions between Jewish immigrants and Palestinians, known as the Arabics, grew. So in 1947, United Nations proposed a plan to separate Jewish and Palestinians as in the Palestinian states as an international city. So Jewish agreed, but Palestinians rejected the offer. So from the Jewish standpoint, which is the Israelis, we're going to just categorize them that, and the Palestinians, the Jewish was fine with them having their different states within Israel and being known as an international city. But the Palestinians didn't agree with it. Remember, Palestine had the land first in the first place. The Jewish came over and migrated, and then they attempt and they will take over the land from the Palestinians. So in 1948, Israel, aka the Jews, declared independence from Britain, because remember I told you, Britain governed the Palestinians and also the Israelis, aka the Jews. And that's what the League of Nations have granted. So in 1948, the Jews, aka the Israel, they declared independence, then leading to a Palestinian-Jewish war. Jewish states intervened, and a ceasefire was declared in 1949, right, to end the war. But 100,000 Palestinians, aka Arabics, were displaced, causing a Palestinian refugee crisis. So the Israel, aka the Jews, took several territories, especially when they had the war. You know, they took the territories such as the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the east of Jerusalem. So, which Palestinians had in the first place. So technically, Israel, or the Jews, consisted of the Jews, I call them aka the Jews, took over the land that the Palestinians initially had, because the Jews migrated over to Israel. So this resulted into the following of conflicts between Israel, the Jews, and the Arabics, the Palestinians, right? So in turn, there's no international law or peace because constant conflict amongst these two is keep occurring. And negotiations that don't go far between Israel and Palestinians have been going on for decades, like I said, from the 19th and 20th century, with little to no progress. And Hamas is a Palestinian militant and political organization founded in 1987, emerging from Muslim Brotherhood. It goes against Israel's existence, the Jews, and then in 2006, Hamas won legislative elections in the Gaza Strip and took control there. And then the West Bank remained under control of Palestinian Authority, as known as the Fatah Party. So Hamas and Israel, aka the Jews, have engaged in multiple wars from 2008 to 2009, 2012 resulting 2008 to 2009, 2012, 2014, 2021, resulting in people dying and severe damage. And so what's happening now, what you see these protesters outside of the Democratic National Convention holding the Democrats accountable, because the Biden-Harris, which we will see in a document, in an article that I have done my research on, they gave aid to the Israel to continue this war. So what's happening right now, which I tie into why these individuals are protesting, and I'm all for protesting as long as nothing's being damaged, the fences are getting damaged, protest peacefully. But if you tend to damage and cause furious, you get furious and you cause violence, I feel like they should be held accountable to the further extent of the law. I do agree with that. But what's happening right now is Hamas officials have been having a dispute over the mosque, the sacred area between the Muslims and the Jews, the mosque, that led to the surprise attack out of Gaza. So the Hamas had a surprise attack on the Jews, because remember I told you, the Muslims consisted of that brotherhood. They're Palestinians. They're just the Hamas militant group. So Hamas has also advanced to expanding on Jewish territories on lands Palestinians claim for a future state. And then Ben Giver, a Jew, who is a far-right politician who toughened restrictions on Palestinians, the Arabics, prisoners in Israel. And this attack by Hamas resulted in the Israeli government declaring war as we see today. And that's why individuals are outraged, because of the funding that's being given under this administration that they keep adding fuel to the fire of, and it's getting out of hand, and people's lives are being lost and taken. Innocent children, civilians. So the surprise attack included militants blowing through a border fence. The Hamas is doing this and killing civilians, soldiers, etc. in Israeli communities along the Gaza frontier during a Jewish holiday. And Israel continues to strike back with airstrikes on the Gaza Strip, resulting in a tower consisted of Hamas officials falling. And then on October 9th, 2023, Israeli minister ordered a complete siege on Gaza, and the authorities would cut electricity, block entry for food and fuel to the Palestinians' territory, as on both sides they continue to be captives. And this is as we finish up this video.
Again, this is the scene here outside of the United Center perimeter. We will continue to monitor this situation. Earlier, about a little bit over an hour ago, we did hear from Police Superintendent Larry Snelling, who said, "We have no fear," quote, "there has been no issues." That was about an hour ago, but we are seeing what appears to be some agitators now, again, climb over the fencing. Some folks even shaking the fencing. They're throwing rocks. my security guard is telling me now. And so just so we can get to a safe location, guys, we're going to back up a little bit, but we will continue to monitor this.
So there we go, folks. Totally outraged. Outraged to the furthest extent. And now I want to present to you guys an article that I found in regards of the funding that the United States is giving over to Israel to continue to add fuel to the fire and continue this war between, the Palestinians and Israel, or the Arabics and the Jews, if you want to be technical. So I just seen this article, doing my due diligence, doing my research a little bit. And the state of it says the latest developments. First, let's scroll up. June 24, 2024, U.S. Secretary of State serves two main purposes: bolstering a key allies' defense capabilities against terrorist threats and fortifying U.S. geopolitical interests in a volatile region. Is particularly important in Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, which is under attack. On October 7th, Hamas terrorists staged a savage early morning attack, killing more than 1,200 people, kidnapping 240 and others, and firing thousands of rockets. So then, how much aid does the U.S. actually provide to the Jewish state, and what's the status of the commitment? So the latest development: the state of U.S. Secretary of Assistance to Israel become a much-watched and debated topic in the spring of 2024. So in April of 2024, Congress approved, President Biden signed into law $14.3 billion in emergency security assistance for Israel, which as of June 2024 was fighting a defensive war against Hamas terrorists in Gaza. Congress also approved $9.2 billion for humanitarian assistance that included aid for Gaza civilians. Then in early May, the Biden administration paused the shipment of a certain heavy munitions to Israel, though the administration greenlighted to transfer other types of arms valued at $1 billion to the Jewish state. It paused the heavy munitions pending Israel's plan to enter Gaza's Rafah area. Roughly 1 million Palestinians have sought refuge. They already had a refugee crisis, like I mentioned, family, because this goes back to the 19th and 20th century. This hasn't just happened. This has been going constant warfare between the Jews and the Palestinians, and originally the Jews migrated and took over the Palestinians' land. And if you want to be technical here, because the refuge crisis that I mentioned to you guys earlier, that started in 1948. It was causing a Palestinian refuge crisis when the Israel declared independence from Britain, then leading to a Palestinian-Jewish war. So I just wanted to demonstrate why these individuals and present to you guys why these individuals are so outraged for the simple fact that they're protesting, and why they're so committed to being protesting this thing is because the Biden administration has been adding fuel to the fire within this war. They've been supporting Israel to take over and kill Palestinians, and Israel is trying to basically siege Gaza and erase the whole entire group of Palestinians. And that's why these pro-Palestinians, or these protesters that are so furious, they call it genocide. So I hope I added some clarity, added some context. That was my whole intention, and to pour some value into you guys' lives. So now we have another, going into the next segment of the show. We have an interesting thing here in regards of Joe Biden being impeached, they say. And they mention how he had some wrongfully conduct as a sitting president. I'm curious to get you guys' thoughts and perspective. But anyway, I'm not going to do no more talking. Let's get straight into the video.
A Fox News alert, a brand new House GOP impeachment report finding that Joe Biden committed impeachable offenses that financially helped his family but hurt the country. The report states, quote, in certain circumstances, the president may be impeached for the actions of subordinate officials. The totality of the corrupt conduct uncovered by the committees is egregious. President Joe Biden conspired to commit influence peddling and grift. In doing so, he abused his office and by lying repeatedly about.
Sorry to pause it, family, but let's be honest here. None of these individuals, these political individuals, have never worked in the private sector, right? They always work, and for my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm always open to the possibility of being wrong. These individuals and an individual like Joe Biden work 50 years getting paid from tax-paying dollars. Citizens, individuals, never worked a private sector job. 50 years. And then we get day one of the Democratic National Convention of a farewell. I bet 50 years of using taxpayer dollars and becoming wealthy over it, I will wash my hands too, right? You're set for life. Joe Biden is set for life. Even though he's off into the sunset, and we all know that he's shriveling up and basically cognitively had the mind of a mindset of his mind is trash. His mindset is trash. His cognitive ability is trash. My man is still off into the sunset, farewell, and made millions of dollars off of our tax dollars, the American people. But anyway, let's continue.
His abuse of office has defrauded the United States to enrich his family.
Pam Bondi is a former Florida Attorney General and a Trump campaign surrogate, and she joins us now. Pam, good morning to you. So this report is coming out on the same day that Joe Biden is going to be passing the baton on over to Kamala Harris with a speech that he's giving tonight. But what do you think about the content in this report and where things go from here?
You know, Carly, much of it is shocking, but some is not surprising. You know, Fox has done great reporting on this over the years, and it's really frightening for the American people because what this report says is while Joe Biden was vice president, his family, they were living a very lavish lifestyle, we all know, and they took $27 million from foreign individuals and foreign
Oh my goodness.
entities, 27 million. And then they said 8.5 million were in loans, yet there's no documentation of these loans, and none of the loans, of course, were ever repaid. So it dealt with countries like Ukraine, we all know, Romania, Kazakhstan, Russia, China. You know, it's very frightening for national.
Doesn't this sound familiar with the Hippocrats? Look at New York Mayor Eric Adams. My man going through the whole thing of federal investigators and investigating because he took funding from foreign countries, which is not allowed, not permissible. This is a constant pattern of Democrats doing things like this. And just imagine what Tim Walz would do. My man has no investment. My man doesn't even own a home. My man, I did my due diligence, and I didn't report on it. I didn't bring it to you guys, but I did do my due diligence to see what type of investments as an American individual, besides being a coach, besides his sketchy military record, what have Tim Walz have investment-wise within himself? Because, okay, he was a coach. We all know he ran from war when it was time to go to war. But the important part I'm saying is, and I'm trying to make out is, Tim Walz is going to use the very thing as well. If he was to get in office, hypothetically, he was going to use his resources now that he has the visibility. If he was a sitting vice president, Tim Walz is going to do the same thing that Joe Biden was doing.
Security. And we also know that he took documents home while he was vice president, very sensitive classified documents that he had no legal right as vice president to do. So it's very troubling. And, you know, it's extremely dangerous for our national security and the American people.
Yeah, you just wonder where it goes from here because Republicans do not want to give Kamala the power of incumbency if they were.
And it's interesting. I'm going to leave that there, folks. I just wanted to present that to you guys. The interesting thing about this is the very thing that the very same thing they accuse Trump of. Just straight deflecting. It's mind-blowing, man. It's mind-blowing. And I want to know, family. And we're going to go through the document that I have pulled up in regards of all the accusations in regards of his conduct, impeachable conduct, that the GOP or the Republicans have put in a document. And we're not going to go through everything, but we're going to go through some things in regards of what he done, as we already have seen it be expressed in the video. But my question to you guys, family, is it a little too late for this impeachment inquiry? I don't know what's the point of it. You know what I'm saying? He's not a nominee no more. He's not running again for re-election. What do you guys think? You know, do you think it holds weight to do this? I'm curious. But I want to present this document I do have here in regards of Joe Biden and his impeachment inquiry for Joseph Joe Biden Jr., President of the United States, August 19, 2024. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, let's see his actions. Okay, impeachment inquiry findings. From 2014 to present, as part of a conspiracy to monetize Joe Biden's office of public trust to enrich the Biden family members and their associates received $27 million from foreign individuals or entities. Joe Biden used his status as vice president to garner favorable outcomes for his sons and his business partners. As we know about his son, crack Hunter Biden, involving Vice President Biden, and many of his business dealings with Russian, Romanian, Chinese, Ukrainian individuals. So he worked alongside his son to have favorable outcomes with foreign entities. And the Biden family leveraged Joe Biden's position of public trust to obtain over $8 million in loans from Democratic benefactors. Millions of dollars in loans have not been repaid, and the paperwork is obviously nowhere to be found. But this is my question, family. The White House has obstructed the committee's impeachment inquiry by withholding key documents and witnesses. Despite the clear conflict of interest, Wise was only offered special counsel status. So the question I have here, family, is, do you guys feel like this even holds weight? I don't think it holds weight. I don't think Joe Biden impeachment conduct will hold any weight. Barack was amazing tonight. Missed that dude. Shout out to you, Mike. Appreciate your comment. He did great. He did great. He's always good at being able to communicate effectively and make his point and be very and add really substantial context about it, or substantial context about it. Barack Obama's always been good at that. But back to what I was saying. Do you guys feel like this holds weight as in Biden impeachment inquiry? Do you feel like? I feel like they're just going to shove it under the rug. I mean, the man's not running again. Set on off to the sunset. He's dying before our eyes, if you want to be more technical. But to add a little bit more context, because this is interesting, and it goes to my title of the Democratic National Convention turns on Biden, because we have Nancy Pelosi that I want to get to. And this was literally a stab in the back, literally, for Nancy. Like, it was a stab in Joe Biden's back. And Joe Biden as the sitting president, man, they basically had him last, talking around 11:30, 11, close to midnight. Individuals going to sleep. Individuals have work in the morning. And I know they kept baiting it on. Oh, Joe Biden's going to speak. Joe Biden's going to speak. Joe Biden's going to speak. And Kamala kept saying it. And we're going to get to her little speech of saying that Joe Biden is going to speak numerous times. And then they made him speak so late, past 9 p.m., 11:30, made the seated president. And that shows how much respect they have for him as the seated president, to make him be the last. And as far as I believe, in the last individual that usually speak, nobody really pays attention to, in a convention. So Joe Biden as the sitting president, whom they had talked basically at 11 p.m. late at night, Joe Biden literally got backstabbed. And Nancy Pelosi not even hiding it anymore in regards of her, quote unquote, she had to do what she had to do. So check this out, folks.
To him and what your response is to that. Sometimes you just have to take a punch for the children.
And that's what you're doing right now? You're just going to take the punch for the children?
Who's punching right now?
I don't
For
know.
real.
Anita Dunn said...
I didn't even hear this. I'm just hearing.
It was an interview with me.
Maybe he's throwing the punch. I don't know.
No,
I'm not. I would never. But
She
Anita,
said she doesn't want to fight.
nobody wants to have a fight with Nancy Pelosi at this time.
Well,
is my
you know
point.
what?
Have you talked
I
to him?
have
Is
to
my
do
only
what
question.
I have to do.
Right.
You guys hear that? I have to do what I have to do. That was a backstab to Joe Biden. Literally. She had to do what she had to do. You guys hear that, folks? It is crazy, man. And she's not even hiding it anymore. She had to do what she had to do. So 14 million Americans, voters, because that was the record breaking for Joe Biden being elected, just disintegrated. Listen to this. Check it out. I'm going to replay it again.
Have you talked
I
to
have
him?
to
Is my only
do
question.
what I have to do.
Right.
He made the decision for the country. My concern was not about the president. It was about his campaign.
Oh, you heard that? She said her concern was not about the president. It was about her campaign.
Right.
He made the decision for the country.
He made the decision for the country. Her concern was the campaign, not the president. And it's crazy because, and it's mind-boggling because on February 13th, 2024, Pelosi said Biden was very sharp. You know, he's younger than she is. And to say, I had to do what I had to do. I wasn't worried about him as the sitting president. The disrespect. He's still the sitting president as of right now. But she wasn't worried about him as a president. She was worried about his campaign. So forget him. But power was her concern. And then look at her cheer, family. I want to disclose this to you, how Nancy Pelosi was cheering on Joe Biden in his farewell speech. It was pitiful. It was pitiful. I don't, like, if you really look at what she was saying, she wasn't really cheering them on. She was just, they're like, I don't know, maybe she was thirsty. Maybe she was just tired. You know, I try to be reasonable and be objective with the situation, but listen to this. Check this out. She was not very fond of even saying we love Joe. Do that look like an interesting lady to you that's really have much respect or high regard for the sitting president? No matter how we like it or not, he's still the sitting president as of now? I don't think so. She definitely backstabbed him. And that's the truth. That is the truth. And it was just mind-boggling, man. It was just mind-boggling. And the way she said she had to do what she had to do really shows and speaks a lot. And this was just a mess as a Democratic convention. For it to be day one, it was a mess. It was a mess. And it shows the brokenness of the Democratic National Convention. When you go to Trump rallies, it's all peaceful and unity. This was a convention of destruction for the Democratic Party. And then Joe Biden ego, man, his ego from debating Trump and still thought he had the cognitive ability and able to communicate effectively and still take on debating Trump, and the outcome didn't turn out the way he thought it would. But he still got up there and started shouting and going off as if he was in a debate. It was like, instead of Joe Biden versus Trump, it was Joe Biden versus Joe Biden. And you can tell, and from my understanding, doing my due diligence and research, and correct me if I'm wrong, family, because I'm always open to the possibility of being wrong, Joe Biden didn't want to hang it up. He wanted to keep going. You know, and I think it really took for individuals in the Democratic Party to go against him, wanting to continue to go based on his ego and not hang it up. Because it made the Democratic Party as a whole just look like trash. You know, and It was just crazy. But Joe Biden made his bed, and he got to lay in it, man. He got to lay in it. So I want to show a video of him and his speech. Because like I said, Joe Biden made his bed, and now he has to lay in it, even though we just seen Nancy Pelosi basically just backstab this man as a sitting president, have no respect for him. So with no further ado, family, check this video out.
And yet I believed then, and I believe now, that progress was and is possible. Justice is achievable. And our best days are not behind us, they're before us. Now it's summer. The winter is past. And with a grateful heart, I stand before you now on this August night to report that democracy is prevailing.
Does this man even know what's going on right now, seasonal wise? He said it's summer. He said it's summer and the winter's past. Summer is basically about to be over, man. Like, come on, man.
Democracy has delivered. And now democracy must be preserved.
This was pitiful.
You've heard me say it before. We're facing an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine the fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. That's not hyperbole, I mean it literally. We're in a battle for the very soul of America. I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas, and chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s.
The way he talk is just so divisive, man. It's pitiful, man. And he's just shouting. My man is angry, man.
Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally. They didn't even bother to wear their hoods. Hate was on the march in America. Old ghosts and new garments, stirring up the oldest divisions, stoking the oldest fears, giving oxygen to the oldest forces that they long sought to tear apart America. In the process, a young woman was killed. When I contacted her mother, I asked about what happened. She told me.
See, what's interesting is, and this is how the Democratic individuals really operate off of. The Democrat individuals operate off of 3 tiers, right? So tier 1, first of all, let's just put it like this. When they don't have nothing to stand on, they play the race card in identity politics. So first of all, tier 1 is identity politics. And then, no, tier 1 is actually playing off of the emotions, because just all this Democratic Party do is play off of emotions and invoke some type of fear to get you all emotionally engaged and sucked into their agenda. Second, tier 2, after your emotions is engaged, they have to somehow, and I'm trying to word it the right way so you guys understand where I'm coming from. They have to somehow connect with some type of demographic of individuals that seek validation that then in turn connects with what they're saying. So in this case, Kamala Harris identifying as black when we know she's not black, right? She's Indian, but she's claiming to be black. But knowing with black culture, which is a demographic, and the identity, the validation of connecting it and tying it to identity politics, with black people being so entitled, and me being raised in a black family. Oh, we gotta have a black woman in office, the first black woman, the first black president. So that validation right there, they seek with that certain demographic, they run off of that. And then tier 3, that's how they get the voters on top of the older individuals who they are with presently. But to reach out more to a wider audience, they got to identify with a certain demographic that seeks validation, like I said. But let's continue.
When the president was asked what he thought had happened, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. That is what he...
See? And he did not say that. Donald Trump did not say that they are very fine people, the Nazis and the white supremacists. He did not say that. And you can look it up, and I did my due diligence. He did not say they were fine people. But this is the divisiveness, and this is the race card that they like to do when they have nothing else to stand on. They don't want to talk about policy. They don't want to talk about how to implement policy. They don't really want to talk to reporters and tackle the real issues. And they're basically playing off of the emotions of individuals to gain vote. And at the end of the day, him talking about suckers and tax rates and borders, which we will see, you know, it's like, it just shows the brokenness of the Democratic Party, let alone this Democrat National Convention.
He said and what he meant. That's when I realized, had listened to the admonition of my dead son, I could not stay in the sidelines. So I ran. Because I had no intention of running again. I just lost part of my soul. But I ran with a deep conviction. In America, I know and believe in an America where honesty, dignity, decency still matter. An America where everyone has a fair shot and hate has no safe harbor.
It's crazy that he says that hate has no safe harbor, because he's the individual that's advocating and invoking that hate. Because when I watched a little bit of this, they have more personal attacks on Donald Trump than they talk about policy. They may talked about policy about 8 times and talked about Donald Trump 110 times. So could you imagine? This is messy propaganda,
In
man.
America, where the fundamental creed of this nation, that all of us are created equal, is still very much alive. And a broad coalition of Americans joined with me. 81 million voters voted for us, more than any time in all of history. Because of all of you in this room and others, we came together in 2020 to save democracy. As your president, I've been determined to keep America moving forward, not going back, to stand against hate and violence in all its forms, to be a nation where we not only live with but thrive on diversity, demonizing no one, leaving no one behind, and becoming the nation that we profess to be. I also ran to rebuild the backbone of America, the middle class.
There we go with the demographics.
I made a commitment to you that I be a president for all Americans, whether you voted for me or not. We have done that. Studies show The major bills we have passed actually delivered more to red states than blue. Because the job of the president is to deliver to all of America. Because of you, and I'm not exaggerating, because of you, we've had one of the most extraordinary 4 years of progress ever, period.
No. No.
When I say we, I mean Kamala and me.
Interesting. That's interesting he says
Just think
that.
about it.
Because Kamala Harris is not trying to associate herself with the Biden administration as far as she can throw it. She is trying to leave Joe Biden on his own and do her own thing as she's running now. She is not trying to associate herself with Joe Biden.
COVID no longer controls our lives. We've gone from economic crisis to the strongest economy in the entire world. Record 16 million new jobs. Record small business growth. Record high stock market. Record high 401ks. Wages up and inflation down, way down,
Oh,
and
no,
continuing to.
No, he didn't just lie like that with this messy propaganda. Inflation is up. And that price gouging, that price gouging plan, that economic plan from Kamala Harris is a disaster. Because at the end of the day, you trying to involve the government in a competitive market for small businesses to thrive, and you're trying to put a cap on things and control it from a government standpoint, inflates the market.
Go down. The smallest racial wealth gap in 20 years. And yes, we both know we have more to do, but we're moving in the right direction. More Americans have peace of mind that comes from having health insurance.
No. Family, go check out my last live. How small businesses and grocery store owners are basically outraged at the Biden-Harris administration, and they're really stressed out and trying to pay their bills, let alone trying to get groceries in their home because the groceries are so high due to inflation. There is no peace of mind in that. I don't know what reality they're living in. They're in a bubble, and they don't know what's going on because they don't care.
More Americans have health insurance today than ever before in American history. And after, as a young senator beginning to fight for 50 years to give Medicare.
50 years, never worked in the private sector, used tax-paying dollars to get paid. And that's why you got Kamala economics or Kamalanomics, which is trash, and they know nothing about economics and they know nothing about small business. Yes, you could be a political leader and you could be strong politically, but to resonate with these middle-class individuals that y'all keep trying to connect with from an emotional standpoint and not really advocating or talking about any policy really, because they're basically trying to they're trying to grasp the emotions of a single working, hard-working mom and hard-working class individuals. First of all, there's no middle class. They've been wiped out. Let's just be technical. And they're hypocrites because 1 minute they want to go from talking about middle class and hardworking people and how they want to help them, but then they want to go on this race war. It's not a race war. It's a class war. At the end of the day, there's no middle class. Everybody's suffering. Groceries is high. Inflation is up. Gas prices. Small businesses is suffering. About to crash out.
The power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices.
Whoa.
We finally
Whoa. We're not going to blow past that. I don't even know what the heck he just said, bro.
World. Record 16 million new jobs. Record small business growth. Record high stock market. Record high 401ks. Wages up and inflation down, way down, and continuing to go down.
Inflation was 20%. They said it went down 3%. Is that really effective? Man, we had a booming economy. We had a booming economy with Donald Trump. And that's just the facts. And we have the timeline to see it. You know what I'm saying? We could talk all day. And no matter what side of the fence you're on, the truth is going to speak for itself. There's always right and wrong. Can't trick the economy. The results will show.
The smallest racial wealth gap in 20 years. And yes, we both know we have more to do.
A gap. Wealth gap. They're worried about a wealth gap. Inflating the market. Man.
But we're moving in the right direction. More Americans have peace of mind that comes from having health insurance. More Americans have health insurance today than ever before in American history. And after, as a young senator beginning to fight for 50 years to give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices, we finally beat Big Pharma. And guess who cast the tie-breaking vote? Vice President, soon-to-be President Kamala Harris.
You have done nothing for the American people, bro. This is crazy.
And now it's the law of the land. Instead of paying $400 a month for insulin, seniors with diabetes will pay $35 a month.
I don't even know what he talking about, bro. I heard a little bit, but my man, you need to slow it down, Joe. You shouting too much.
The law we passed already includes, starting in January, every senior's total prescription costs can be capped at $2,000 no matter how expensive the drugs they have. And what we don't focus on, and our Republican friends don't seem to understand, our reforms don't just save seniors money, they save the American taxpayers money.
They saved the American taxpayers money. But then the money is being spent frivolously by you, which is causing inflation. Inflation basically occurs from overspending, and then the person that get affected the most is us American people, the hardworking individuals, typical American people who is the consumer. And it's always going to be, in turn, the person that's going to be hurt the most and affected the most is the American people, aka the consumers. While they're out here just using taxpayer dollars and spending it however. But if we advocate and start sticking up and being informed voters and holding them accountable, and it goes down not just from presidency and voting, your local legislators and individuals in your state, they're far more important than the president first, because that involves your community and education and how things are being spent and how funds are being allocated, which is your money, the American taxpaying citizens.
It saved $160 billion over the next decade. That's not hyperbole. It's because Medicare no longer has to pay those exorbitant prices to the big pharma.
You said to the big pharma.
Well, thank you, Kamala, too.
My man stumbling. Get it together, Joe. Catch your teeth, man. Catch your teeth. Catch your teeth, baby. You're fumbling.
Look.
She done nothing but let illegals in.
Folks, how can we have the strongest economy in the world without the best infrastructure in the world?
That was a hard word for him to say.
Donald Trump promised Infrastructure Week every week for 4 years, and he never built a damn thing.
That's a lie.
But now, because of what Kamala and I have done, remember we were told we couldn't get it done. Remember when we came into office, we couldn't get anything passed? But right now, we're giving America an infrastructure decade, not week. We're modernizing.
We sassy with it.
our roads, our bridges, our ports, our airports, our trains, our buses, removing every lead pipe from schools and homes so every child can drink clean water, providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where they live, not unlike what Roosevelt did with electricity, and so much more.
What is so much more? They never elaborate. They just say surface level things. They never elaborate on nothing. And this whole convention, I still have yet to really see any touch on really important policy and how it's instilled. And you got Donald Trump out here going on podcasts, going on big networks, and really answering the questions that's the concern for the American people.
We are
Can't make this
uniting the
up.
country. We're growing our economy. We're improving our quality of life. And we're building a better America.
They're destroying America. That's just my opinion, though. Let me tell you.
Because that's who we are. How can we be the strongest nation in the world without leading the world in science and technology? After years of importing 90% of our semiconductor chips from abroad, which America invented those chips. Our Chips and Science Act meant that private companies from around the world are now investing literally tens of billions of dollars to build new chip factories right here in America. And over that period, they'll create tens of thousands of jobs. And many of those.
Did you check out? I don't think this. See, this man lives in a bubble. Have you seen Stellantis? The automakers, they're moving to China. China is taking over Stellantis, getting rid of the workers. Automation is taking place. And you don't let individuals come over here. Instead of keeping America workers and keeping American, if they really want us to sustain American jobs, the very thing in regards of building cars, they wouldn't have let individuals over there, like from China, even gain access to buy outright, like, for example, Stellantis. And then now they're taking the very thing that we done as being highly effective in building cars and chips and the science that we have and being a powerful country that we are. We're letting foreign individuals, instead of keeping that American power within America and actually saving jobs and sustaining those jobs, you're letting foreigners come in and take those plants like Stellantis and Ford, and now they're moving over to China. They basically stole the concept over here in America in regards of how the cars are being made, and Americans are losing their job, and automation is taking place and moving those plants from China. Look what's going on in Detroit. These plants, man. The car manufacturers.
Those jobs in the so-called fabs, the buildings that make the chips, that's being constructed now. And guess what? The average salary in those fabs, size of a football field, will be over $100,000 a year, and you don't need a college degree.
This man.
Because of you and so many electeds out there. American manufacturing is back. Where the hell to say
Comment in the chat, family. How do you guys feel about all these things he be rambling about? Shouting the whole 20 minutes that I've been watching this. Just spreading messy propaganda, being divisive. You know, I can't wait to get to the part where he say him and Kamala Harris, even though Kamala is not even trying to do nothing with Biden. She's trying to set herself apart and do her own thing. She ain't, as he's saying we, me and Kamala, she like, we love you, Joe. She's not trying to be nowhere near a part of that. You know, and I can't wait to get to the part when they say they want to strengthen illegal migrants. Well, illegal immigrants, sorry, family.
Lead the world in manufacturing. 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
I have a hard time believing this man was running the country this last year. Had to be Kamala
Our
the whole
Republican
time.
friends and others made sure they'd go abroad to get the cheapest labor. We used to import products and export jobs. Now we export American products and create American jobs right here in America, where jobs belong. With every new job.
That's why foreign countries had caught on to the concept of how we done the very thing and being effective and being able to create cars and sustainable cars and keep the jobs in America. But now they're taking it right from under us. They done seen the concept of how we done things, as we are a land of opportunity, and America has always thrived off of being a capitalistic environment and being able to thrive in regards of being able to have many opportunities and resources that we can monetize. And now foreign countries are still in the very idea, the thing that we did and doing it even better. And he's saying that he's saving American jobs when the auto industry is going downhill and individuals are losing their jobs as we speak. And just imagine the younger individuals that work for Stellantis, for example, before they even started, they're going to lose their job. They're going to get it worse rather than individuals who've been there before them and done their 30 years or time or whatever. They're going to get a retirement package or whatever, obviously. But can you imagine individuals that just started and already losing their job? And don't get me started about Sean Fain. Because Sean Fain, when he was toting about, oh, we're going to get... Listen, these individuals don't forget when you want to increase the money that they receive and increase minimum wage and stuff like that, and they can't cover the cost. At the end of the day, they're going to automate it and get rid of you, and there's going to be layoffs. So Sean Fain sitting there advocating and promoting, oh, we're going to get higher pay, and then the workers that was on strike for Stellantis and so forth, they automated it and got rid of them.
With every new factory, pride and hope is being brought back to communities throughout the country that were left behind. You know you're from them, many of you. You know what it's like when that factory closed, where your mother, your father, your grandmother, grandfather worked. And
It's
now
closing
you're
now.
back.
We're not
Providing
back.
once again, proving that Wall Street didn't build America. The middle class built America, and unions built the middle class.
Unions built the middle class. Unions fought for the very thing of individuals being spoiled at work. We all know them individuals who was taking advantage of the workforce due to having a union. Been there, done that. And they know they shouldn't have been there because they wasn't highly effective as an employee. But the union made the middle. Man.
It's been my view since I came to the Senate. And that's why I'm proud to have been the first president to walk a picket line. And be labeled the most pro-union president in history, and I accept it. That's a fact. Because when unions do well, we all do well. You got it, man. You got it. They're the ones we're going to bring back. Make sure this continues. Creating hundreds of thousands of jobs in clean energy for American workers, including the IBEW installing 500,000 charging stations all across America.
They're charging stations that are trash. And he actually negotiated with Elon Musk to work alongside having those charging stations where other cars can be charged utilizing the charger that's affiliated with Tesla. So, but I really want to get touched down to something that's highly important. And I'm going to put it up in a minute in regards of Joe Biden actually advocating for actually advocating for strengthening illegal immigrants, because I feel like it's important, and they're telling you what they're going to do, and they're telling you what they're really advocating for in our face. And the hypocrites are good for that. They're good at saying one thing and doing another thing, and then they say they're going to do something and don't do the very thing they say they're going to do, which blows my mind all the time. So I'm going to put it up on X, formerly known as Twitter, because I want you guys to check this out as I upload it right now, because I'm actually looking it up. But it just blew my mind in regards of Joe Biden saying him and Kamala strengthen illegal immigrants. So, and they always advocated for open borders, and then they try to double back and then wanted to close the borders. So it just blows my mind how he said this so passionately. And I want you guys to check this out. I'm going to show you guys right now, and there's a display on my screen. Here we go. Joe Biden over here advocating for strengthening illegal immigration. This is crazy, man.
And unlike Trump, we will not demonize immigrants, saying they're the poison of blood of America.
Messy propaganda, once again, lies. Always lying. Trump is all for immigrants coming in, but doing it the right way. Legally, not illegally.
Poison the blood of our country. Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration, including protecting dreamers and more.
They basically want to strengthen illegal immigration because they want to push to gain a vote of a whole nother group of individuals that they connect with and that seek validation from them. Oh, vote for us. We'll give you all that you need. You know, and Joe, he just pushed more for racial division in his little shouting speech and hatred in the country to be stirred up. And like I said, when they have nothing to stand on, they stand on race and all these divisive things. And this is supposed to be hope, as Kamala Harris and Tim Walz mentioned in their interview when they interviewed each other, because they won't take on no big networks to actually go out here in these streets and actually address the things that are really important that's affecting the everyday American individuals, like Donald Trump is doing. Blows my mind, man. But I want to go on to the next segment in regards of Kamala Harris. Right? That's Joe. We just watched his speech. And now we're going to go into Kamala Harris. This is the last segment of the show, family. I'm curious to get you guys' insight, perspective, and thoughts as I let off mines. And this is her little speech as she was baiting on Joe Biden speaking and coming up to speak, which basically it didn't happen till midnight. And I feel like it was highly disrespectful to leave this man being the last one, very last one, obviously, to speak, because they don't really care what he got to say, as they pushed him to the side and they basically pushing him out the Democratic Party. As you have seen and heard in the show that Nancy Pelosi had to do what she had to do. But let's check this out.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It is so good to be with everyone this evening in this hall and everyone at home. This is going to be a great week. And I want to kick us off by celebrating our incredible President, Joe Biden, who will be speaking later tonight.
She just used Joe Biden as bait to continue to retain individuals to be interested. And the reality is, she want nothing to do with him. She want nothing to, she like, oh, Joe? Oh, we just want to say for our president. And Joe up there in his shout match talking about, oh, me and Kamala, we advocate and we support strengthening illegal immigrants. And she like, we just want to give it up for our president. She acting like she not even part of the Biden administration.
Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, for your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you.
She act like she's not the seating vice president. This is crazy.
Thank you, Joe. And looking out at everyone tonight, I see the beauty of our great nation. People from every corner of our country and every walk of life are here, united.
You guys, you know why they had this convention in Chicago, right? That's basically a pro-democratic place. Look at Brandon Johnson. Chicago is in shambles. It's trash. Brandon Johnson is getting rid of ShotSpotter. It's a crime going on every single day. Communities are trash. You know, immigrants, illegal immigrants are being housed in schools. I could go on, man. And they're having a convention there. They knew what they were doing. They're going to the states that they know are pro-Democrat and already going to vote a certain way. Let's finish this up.
By our shared vision for the future of our country. And this November, we will come together and declare with one voice, as one people, we are moving forward.
Yeah, right. What have you done to move forward right now?
Optimism, hope, and faith, so guided by our love of country, knowing we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Let us fight for the ideals we hold dear, and let us always remember, when we fight, we win. God bless you. God bless.
Yeah. Trash. The trash convention. We just went over day one. That was the last segment of the show. Basically, Kamala Harris, oh, yeah, Joe, we appreciate you, my guy, but it's about me now. And Joe didn't want to pass that baton. His ego wouldn't let him. He didn't even want to stop running. And that's just the truth. But she wants nothing to do with him. She used Joe as the bait, you know, for individuals to look forward to him, just to wrap it up and be like, goodbye, my guy. I got this from now. I ain't a part of the administration. It's not like she's not the seating vice president right now. Like, she can't do nothing right now. And that's just mind-boggling to me. I see two individuals in here viewing it. You know, I ended the show in regards of all the segments that I have in regards of what I needed to speak on. So now, family, I just want to know you guys' take on it. How do you guys feel about this convention so far? I think that it's a total disaster. When you look at Trump rallies, it's peace, it's unity, it's love. It's not all this chaos and free entertainment. I mean, man, Kamala Harris is like her convention and her whole thing is like a free entertainment consisted of concerts, a variety of concerts, and trying to pull together public figures and celebrities just to try to gain some visibility or feel important. Because to be honest, when they end up finding that Joe Biden wasn't going to run no more last minute, I feel like they just threw this thing together, however. And you can tell how out of order and ununiformed they are in regards of how they're not communicating effectively to the American people in regards of policy, and there's no understanding. They're just hitting things surface level that sound good, but they're not doing nothing. And I think we really should pay attention to that and be aware of it and be informed voters to vote effectively. But how you guys feel about this? How you guys feel about it? That was the last segment of the show. You know, I just want to get you guys' perspective, and that's it. But if no one got anything else to say, I appreciate those who did watch the show. And I'm going to just wrap it up, you know, and close out right then and there. So spread that peace, love, and positivity, family. Let the love supersede the hate. Until next time, family, peace. And as always, I like to play my little jazz on the way out, you know. It's nothing like vibing, right? Nothing like vibing. So I'll play my little music. Since no one want to interact in the chat, you know, we could go from there. Let me see.